Let your work sell you, talk yourself up and connect with people.
Joivan Wade is an actor and entrepreneur, recognised as one of Variety's 10 Brits to watch and dubbed a rising star by London's Evening Standard. As an actor, he's appeared in massive shows and movies, but he's probably best known for his portrayal of Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, in Doom Patrol. Beyond acting, Joivan spearheads a plethora of initiatives, including his production company, Wall of Entertainment, producing online shows aimed at Generation Z like Does the Shoe Fit?, Shiro's Story and The Pink Courtroom for international brands, resulting in over 55 online shows and amassing over 6 billion views. Find out how he does it. Welcome, Joivan Wade.
The more people that you help, the more you help yourself.
Welcome to WeAudition Show, Joivan Wade. It's so good to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Nah, of course, right? You know, you've been in England for a long time.
I have.
And you made the move to America. You had a big success in England, and then you're being really successful out here. You just was on Bel Air.
Mm-hmm.
You did Doom Patrol before that, and you started all the way back out with Mandem on the Wall, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that journey, man.
Yeah. So I started off, before I even got into acting on a serious note, I was playing football, or as the US would regard as soccer. Yeah. And I was playing, I loved it. My whole family was pretty much, heavily into football. And I was just doing acting classes on the side, a place called D&B back in Downham, my hometown in London. And off the back of that, I remember being like 15 years old and saying, you know what, I have to make a decision. It's either like I'm going to continue this football or I'm going to, really take acting seriously. And I loved acting more than I loved playing football. So I decided that I was just going to stop playing football. One day I went to my mum, I said, I want to act. And she said, follow your dreams, follow your heart. I went to my dad, I said, I want to act. He said, you're out your mind. You get go back. Let's do the football. Right? You know what I mean?
Like Vinnie Jones did it. Vinnie Jones is a star.
No, I'm playing. He was really supportive as well. And off the back of that, I just decided that I was gonna go for the shot. Off the back of that, I heard about this place called the Brit School. I heard that if you want to get into the industry, then you have to go to this place. It's a high probability that you get industry opportunities by going there. Right. So, it's more prolific for music, Adele, Amy Winehouse, but I went there for acting. A few alumni, you got Tom Holland, you play Spider-Man. And I thought, okay, cool, this is the place I need to be. I went to the Brit School, and after my second year, I realized that I felt like I got enough from the school to the point where I just wanted to get into the industry. And so at the end of that course, you have what they call a showcase, and that's your opportunity to get an agent. And so I did the showcase, got an agent, Seinu, which is who I've been with since the start. Yeah. And I decided that I didn't want to go to another drama school because I got what I needed there. Let me just try and get out and work. And this is where you I got a bit of a understanding of the industry. I'm going up for hoodie number 1, thug number 2, and thug number 3. And I'm like, okay.
Bill and EastEnders.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
Right. Yeah.
And if that's going to be the case, then I want to, create my own version of that, put myself out there so I get more opportunities. And so me, my best friend, Perso Ascot, we ended up coming together and we said, look, let's make a show on YouTube and let's put it out there. So we went to a variety showcase, which a friend of mine, Glenn Murphy, who was part of Twist and Pulse, the dance duo from Britain's Got Talent, and they put on this showcase. We went there, met our third member, who was D. Carte, who did our first ever experience of stand-up comedy. And we said, you were brilliant. He said, well, you guys were brilliant at your sketch. Let's come together and let's do something. So we ended up going for a walk 2 days later to the chicken shop. And during our walk to the chicken shop, we came up with this idea called Mandem on the Wall, and put it out on YouTube.
Did you get dark meat or white meat?
I got dark meat.
Dark meat.
Yeah.
So that's always when the best ideas come.
Exactly. There we go. Right. So I love a bit of dark meat. And off the back of that, we created this show. We did it 3 times because the first time we shot it, it just wasn't what we wanted it to be. Did it again. And then finally
just
we got it.
Self-funded? We just put it all out yourself?
Self-funded, yeah. And it was, the experience was, at the Brit School, you had all these different strands. So you had, musical theatre, you had music, technical theatre. So we went to all of our mates and essentially started producing before we realized we were producing. So went to my mate in music strand and said, hey, we need a theme tune. And then Fidel made us the theme tune. Went to my friends in technical theatre and said, hey, we need some elements for our set. They then helped us out with that. Went to friends in media, we need cameras to rent. They then gave us the cameras. And so put it all together. And off the back of that, that was, producing the show, and then we put it out online. And during that time, there was, the London riots in 2011 off the back of Mark Duggan, the police brutality. And we said, let's do something about, this, because we know that one, it's gonna give a bit of a lighter tone to what's happening and have people understand what's really happening. And two, it's going to just get a lot of foot traffic because everyone's typing it in on the internet, and we can service that traffic.
Capitalizing on that early trend, of that hanging on a news article,
exactly,
and then diverting the traffic,
because that had the highest form of traffic at that time of people searching it on YouTube and searching it on Google. So we knew that we would pick up some traffic if we titled it "Mandem on the Wall Episode 1: London Riots." Everyone searching for the London riots would then come across our video.
You're probably getting some traffic again now, aren't you? From
it's literally it's full circle,
full circle.
Yeah,
but I mean, and YouTube at the time was only 6 years old then, so
it was.
So there wasn't the level of competition out there either.
No, it was like, we had a friend of ours in school. His name was Marcus Noble, and he was the first person to ever do a YouTube show that we saw. And we was like, look, we want to do something like that. And at the time, there was no one doing any videos on YouTube, let alone a show, So
a little bit of fun fact for the WeAudition listeners. Yeah. We started WeAudition. Our third founder is the first ever YouTube star. She's the first person to get 1 million views on YouTube.
Crazy.
For the first ever scripted show, but nobody knew it was scripted. It was called Lonely Girl 15.
Oh, mental.
And it was a video blog that people thought was real, but wasn't.
Man.
Little fun fact.
And the whole thing was scripted.
The whole thing was scripted, yeah. But people didn't realize at the time. And first thing to get 1 million views. But anyway, back to...
No. It's sick. But at that time, that was what it is, finding YouTube long form content, it blew up and it started doing hundreds and thousands of views from that traffic over just a few weeks. After the 4th episode, we were contacted by Big Talk Productions in the UK, and they said, hey, we love what you're doing. This writer called Levi David Ade is, making this new show called Youngers on E4, and we've asked him, how do we make this show better? And he said, Mandem on the Wall. We need Mandem on the Wall in this show. And so you
got scouted off the internet?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was, the start of everything for us. It was just, getting onto that show. We did 2 seasons of Youngers, and the plan was that they would basically create us our own show after we did the Youngers show. And so as a result, we held off on doing any more content because we said, let's save all of these great ideas for the TV show. But once we did the 2 seasons of Youngers, they didn't end up cracking on with the Mandem on the Wall show. But then we had lost the online audience because we had done all of this stuff on TV. And by the time we were kind of left skin and dry, it was done. And so then we said, okay, well, we still got these subscribers. We just got to kind of reenact them. Let's make a new show. And we did the JPD show, and we got a pilot from BBC 3. And then,
did your followers come back?
Nice. Yeah, well, they were still there in regards to being subscribers, but they were just dormant. Yeah. And because Mandem on the Wall had gone, and then they'd seen it all on Youngers, and it was like, well, we don't want any more sketches. So we said, okay, what haven't we done with this Mandem on the Wall brand? The only thing we haven't done is a live show, because we've done music videos, we've done skits, we've done the first ever comedians to do BBC Radio 1 Extra Fire in the Booth.
With Charlie Sloth.
With Charlie Sloth.
And he started on YouTube in a similar fashion, didn't he? And then he got acquired by some already... Yeah, like hip hop station bought his idea and blew it up, and
that was crazy because it was his idea,
Yeah.
So
I thought he was a character for ages.
Yeah, that's Charlie, man. He's a great guy.
Wait, I might be able to get the fire alarm in here now. It'll come in an opportune time.
Perfect.
Soon.
Perfect. He's a real guy.
And
would you do anything different if you did it now? Would you do anything in the landscape as it is now, because it's completely different from 2011? Have you got any advice from someone starting now?
Yeah, it would be the same thing in terms of create your own content and devise and put yourself out there. At the time, we just used what we had. We constructed everything on the cameras that we could get access to. So nowadays you got iPhones that look better than the cameras did back then.
Right.
So I would say at this point, it's about taking an idea, something you're passionate about, and just going with it. Use what you've got, and I guarantee you that anyone that is around you or anything that you need will gravitate to you. And that's just what happened for us. People came to us just from that idea, So you got all these different platforms now. You got, Instagram, you got TikTok, so now it's definitely about, using these different platforms. As a bit later when I talk about the wall of comedy, the wall of entertainment, I'll go into some more stuff in that. But now we look at using, Instagram as a specific network. So we say like Instagram is HBO. We say that Facebook is the BBC. We say that TikTok is, because they all have different audiences and you have to serve those audiences. And even if it's the same content, you have to package it differently. And so take your idea, whatever it is that you've got, and get it out there, but really look at how you package that content. That same piece of content that you put out on Facebook will be different to how it releases on Instagram, different to TikTok, different to Snapchat, and treat all these different social media platforms because they have different audiences, and those audiences gravitate to that content in different ways.
And they have different formats and different lengths and different, I think people still, would watch horizontal videos on Facebook a lot more than they would. Yeah. We just don't watch horizontal videos on Instagram.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's annoying when you get one, you either want to turn it that way, or it's small, or that kind of thing. That's you're very right. You got to be very specific about how you craft your content.
100%. 100%. And so, when we got to the point of the JPD show, we went to the BBC and we said, hey, like, we've finished with Man on the Wall now. We want to do a sketch show. I was heavily influenced by Key and Peele. And we just loved their sketches, and we said, we want to do something like that. So we worked with a company called Happy Tramp, Neil Webster and Ben Palmer, who actually directed the In-Betweeners movie. And they worked together with us to create this sketch show. And we put it out there, and it was maybe like 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. And we said to the BBC, hey, this is really late. Our audience are going to be asleep. It's young kids that we're, connecting with. They still put it out. It didn't perform the numbers that they wanted it to perform. And then they said, look, we're not going to, go further than the pilot. So we said, okay, cool. Give us the rights back for this show and let us put it out online, and we'll show you and prove to you that it's not the sketch, it's the time you put it out. But what we couldn't do at the time is we couldn't just put it on the Mandem on the Wall YouTube channel, because that was for that show. So we said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to create a network. So we created a network. We had at the time, like SBTV, which is a music platform in the UK, Link Up TV, GRM. And we said, there's nothing for entertainment, nothing for comedy. Let's be the first. So we created this platform. We put that show on.
Wait, let's back up. When you say create a platform, is that your own website? Or is that on another channel like YouTube?
Yeah. So we had our own website, but the main funnel that we used was Facebook. Okay. And it was pretty much like a Facebook wall of comedy videos. Okay. And that's why we called it the Wall of Comedy.
Got it. And so that's the network. It was using existing social media structure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it was bringing in multiple streams of content to.
There we go. And so that video.
And so that was your stuff, but also other people or where did you get the other stuff from?
Yeah. Or at the first instance, it was just our stuff. So it was just this one show. Those sketches of like 30 seconds to a minute and a half went out. They did millions of views on our Facebook page. Amazing. And off the back of that, it was like eureka. It wasn't the sketches. It was the audience and the distribution. So that then built our audience. We went from around 1 million followers on Facebook to like 3-4 million followers. And then we said, okay, well, there's other guys out there and girls that are creating content. If we can find a way to work with them in order to be able to create content for them, distribute it on our platform, we can get the likes of the BBC, the Channel 4s, etc., to come and then want to work with them via seeing that content just distributed. So we did just that. We went and we found, different creatives, and we took that content and we said, okay, we want to make a show for you. We love what you're doing on Snapchat and we love what you're doing on this platform. Let's, create something for you and put it on our platform. They wanted access to our audience because we had like 4 million followers at the time. And because we were monetizing our Facebook, we had the resources to be able to fund the productions that we would do for them. So we started creating these mini series of like 10-minute episodes, 6 episodes a series, blowing up these different content creators. And off the back of that, the platform would continue to grow. The Facebook page then grew eventually to about 20 million followers. And we were producing between our original content and licensed content about 200 to 400 million views per month. And that's when we said, okay, now it's not just going to be our original content, but we're going to go out and license other people's content and have licensed content and original content. And then the Wall of Comedy, the Wall of Productions, and the Wall of Talent then became formulated as an entity.
Your foresight in something like that is insane, because you literally, like you said, you called it a network. And that's why I wanted to dive into that, is you built it like a network. being an actor yourself, a lot of people in the acting game would be likely to think more selfishly about, I just need to get my stuff out there. I've got 4 million followers. What more can I put out there?
Yeah.
But you really aggregated these other creators and brought other people up with you. Did you ever get scared by that? Or like, jealousy is not the right word, but was there ever a moment when you thought, if I keep bringing all these other people up around me, my stuff might diminish?
It's a really good point. I would say no. And the reason why was because, like, funnily enough, that was actually a part of why originally when we created the Wall of Comedy, we had D. Carte, who was the third member of Mandem and the Wall. But he was really passionate about just creating content. And me and Percy was like, well, we don't want to create content for ourselves anymore in this capacity. We want to create for others. And as a result, that's why D then said, okay, you guys continue with the Wall of Comedy and I'm just going to continue acting and trying to do my thing. So it was definitely a conscious decision, so much so that we had conversations about it. Yeah. But because we always believed that, hey, when it comes to acting, I've had a lot of self-confidence in terms of me getting to where I want to get to as an actor and continuing to build. So me helping others is never going to take away from me. It's only going to end up helping, because you're only as relevant as what's relevant, you know? So if I can continue to make other creators and build them, also with the entrepreneurial insight, I wanted to always, have a network and be an entrepreneur that owned a channel, as opposed to just create a show or be an actor on a project. So that was definitely a thought, but it was harnessed with the fact that we really wanted to create a network and build something.
And it's scalable as well. I
suppose at some point you want to step aside and go on and do Doom Patrol and still have the other stuff running. You can't do everything all at once. So I suppose that network gives you the ability to be a superhero on everything.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that was key, because we had the idea of one day we want to be producing our own TV shows, producing our own movies. So in creating Wall of Productions, it was the opportunity for us to be able to create shows for other people, house this network and kind of, build from there. And then one day we'll be doing what we're doing now, which is creating TV, creating film and developing in that way. And the Wall of
Facebook
Talent.
pay? I don't know if you mind me asking, how does that work? Is that all right to ask? Does Facebook and Instagram pay you, or did they pay you? And do they pay you if you put other people's work on your wall? Yeah,
all social media platforms at this point pay. Whether or not you get access to the monetization programs is one thing, but they all pay. And if you are in a certain space, especially original content, they love original content. So Facebook was paying us at the time, but we were really lucky, man, because at that time we were part of a beta program in which what is now Facebook Watch was then them testing out how paid advertising would work. And because we had one of the largest platforms in Europe via the content we were creating, they chose us as a platform to test our monetization. So we were monetizing Facebook as early as 2013, 2014. And that's what really allowed us to be able to build our platform, build the content, our production company, our talent management company, managing the talent, and then also build an office of built to around 40 employees.
And that's how many employees you have now? 40 still?
Well, now we have a little bit more than that. But in between that, we shrunk back to zero. And the reason why that took place is because during the time when we were building our social media platforms, we had an instance where we had a bad egg in the company and he was uploading videos. Excuse me. He was uploading videos that weren't licensed. And so we wasn't aware of it because everything went through him. And just at the time, I would call it bad management. We wasn't aware of what was taking place. Facebook then came to us and said, hey, you've got all of these different videos that have been uploaded. And as a result, we have to strike your page, and you're going to get a strike of like 25 different strikes at one time. And as a result, we're taking away your Facebook page. So we lost our 20 million followers. We lost, we lost all of the content.
Power they have.
That was,
Also, how are you licensing this content? Like what was needed to put in place? Because people share stuff on their social media all the time that's not theirs.
Yes, but when you've got different companies, at the time you had like Unilad and Lad Bible and BuzzFeed and these companies in which reach out to you and say, hey, Darren, we love the video that you posted on your Instagram. We'd love to pay you $500 to license this content and put it out on our platform. Here, sign this agreement, and now we own your video.
And then you were doing contracts with those content creators.
Doing contracts with.
Is that still the same to this day? If you put something on your Instagram, because I see, say like Snoop Dogg puts a ton of things on his Instagram all the time that's not him.
Yeah.
Is he having to license and pay for that each time?
Potentially, or he's not monetizing that content, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But when a company comes and says, hey, you're a big competitor of ours, you guys are like, you're actually ranked number 1 in the whole of the world in the month of May in 2018. We don't actually want you here. How can we get you off? And there was a juxtaposition where the guy that we had who was managing the content, he also wanted to be in front of the camera. And because we weren't able to get him in front of the camera over the creators that we were working with, out of spite, he uploaded those videos knowing what would happen to our company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
we're not talking about sharing other people's videos, are we? We're talking about uploading content as though it's fresh and yours. Is that right?
No, it's still, so we have the original content, which is all of our content, which we don't need a license for because we own it. We created it. But then there's Richard, you just did a piece of content or a sketch or a video. We love it. Can we send you a contract, pay you for that video? And now we have the license to be able to upload it. We're going to upload it. But then what happens is there's content that you've then also gone and sold to Unilad or BuzzFeed, and you've sold it for a higher price, ignored our contractual agreement. And Facebook at the time, they favored the big dogs. So they didn't even take our contracts into consideration. And they just said to us, look, they've got the license. It's dated more recently than yours. They paid more for the video. And as a result, they own it. You've published it and now you're going to get a strike.
Oh, I see. So one ownership. It's not a non-exclusive. It's an exclusive license.
Even if you did the licensing, someone else sort of usurped your license.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so as a result, we lost everything. We had our offices in Shoreditch. We had, just under 40 employees. We had everything. It was great. And then we had nothing. And it was just me and my 2 partners, Percy and Taff. And we literally created a WhatsApp group and we called it Start Over. And it was literally us going back from the drawing board and rebuilding everything from scratch. And this was in 2018 when I got the biggest, role of my career in Doom Patrol. I got the biggest news of my entrepreneurial career, which was that we'd lost everything.
Was that the same day, same week?
It was the same week. And the reason why that was is because I was in the hotel because I hadn't yet found accommodation because it was so early in doing the fittings in Atlanta.
Let's dive deep on that day. Talk to me how that felt. Like really, genuinely, how did that feel?
It was horrible. It was devastating, first and foremost, because everything that we had built and the trajectory of everything that you have is crumbling, or has crumbled, should I say. On top of that, I felt even more horrible because I'm in Atlanta. I got my 2 business partners in London and we're having to, have all of these conversations and I'm not there physically with them and having to do everything remotely. And then on top of that, we're in a position where now we've got to tell 35 people that they don't have a job anymore. And that's it, because we can no longer afford to pay you because we don't have our income coming in. So yeah, it was devastating. While doing all of that, answering to Warner Brothers and the production for Doom Patrol and having so much on my mind of trying to, prepare for the biggest role of my life, being this superhero in Cyborg, while trying to work out how we're going to navigate this whole situation with my company. And it was bad, man. It was bad. And I think after that, it was just that mentality of, okay, we either stop now. And this is what was cool. This is when I realized that, hey, no, I really want to do this. And we all really want to do this. Percy, Taff, because right now, even Percy is also an actor. He was doing well. He had his show called The Innocents on Netflix and starring in that. And we could have just decided, let's just crack on with our acting, But we said, no, we're gonna rebuild this thing from scratch. So what we said is, all right, what do we have left? We have the talent. We have our production company and we have phenomenal ideas. So now we're going to go to different brands and we're going to say, hey, instead of spending all that money on a billboard, we want you to take some of that budget and give it to us so that we can create you a digital billboard, a channel, a network, just like we created for ourselves. We're the guys who built 20 million followers. We can build you millions of followers too. We have the ideas, we have the talent. And so we went to different companies and we would then create them bespoke formats like we would do for the talent, but with the talent around their brand. And for example, we worked, one of our first clients was a company called Foot Asylum. And we created a dating show called Does the Shoe Fit, which tied in with their brand as a sneaker brand, as a trainer brand.
So it's like branded content, like you were making a long form commercial, but with fun ideas.
Exactly.
And in order to get those views again, did you have to buy paid advertising on your own content, things like that? Or was it organic?
No, all organic. Never bought any paid advertising.
Never?
Never. It's just been ideas, even to the point where we'd say to brands, hey, we don't want you to put paid advertising behind it because it will stop our reach of our organic views. So if we upload a video and it doesn't do well, okay, you got your freedom to go and do that. But every time we would hit, we would then build, these channels. We built channels from 0 to millions of subscribers, brand new shows that we would build to, millions of views. And that also had an influx on the product that they would sell, on the cool factor that took place because these said influencers were now associated with these different brands. And to date, we've worked with maybe about 40 different brands from, Pretty Little Thing, McDonald's to Wingstop, JBL, like a whole array of different brands that we work with and we build branded channels for, build branded content. And as a result of that was our business model that helped us to rebuild. And now we got our offices back. We're back we started back in Shoreditch, then we hopped to Liverpool Street. And now we've got just over 40 employees and built the whole thing back.
It's incredible.
If you'd like to join the WeAudition community, go to weaudition.com/show to get 25% off. Now back to the show.
I mean, you're an amazing actor. We've seen you act. You're also an amazing salesperson.
Thank you.
That's very clear. Where do those two intersect? Do you think they're helpful for each other? If there's an actor out there that's not a good salesperson, is that important?
Yeah, I think there's 2 degrees when it comes to the sales. I think that you have 2 aspects as a salesman, as an actor. You have your performance, which is always going to sell. And if you have a great performance, which is why it's so important to work on your craft, because if your craft is great, that sells in itself. Someone goes and watches a film and they're like, oh, I want that guy. I did the First Purge. Greg Berlanti saw me in the First Purge and said, that's my Cyborg. I was then cast in Doom Patrol.
Really?
Yeah.
That's from that?
Oh, from that First Purge.
Yeah. So,
so you were auditioning by doing that role?
Yeah, I was auditioning from doing that.
We hear that a lot, don't we?
Yeah, from doing that role.
So was that a straight offer for Cyborg or did you have to audition again?
No, it was an offer, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was wicked. So I'd say like performance wise, that's, your biggest tandem. And then outside of that, there is the salesman or the saleswoman of selling yourself, meeting people, connecting with great people, getting in the rooms. Relationships is a big thing. People want to work with you because they like you. You got 2 actors and it's like, okay, they both can deliver the job. One of them's a really nice person. The other one is stressful. The nice person's going to win every single time. Yeah. And it could come down to a little bit, shy of that. They're both great people, but I've met this person and I got a vibe for them. I haven't met this person, although I've heard great things. My personal experience is going to win every time. So meeting people, connecting with people, that's why I love Use Lots events. With WeAudition events, you get to connect with these people and be in person and say, hey, this is who I am. Feel me, feel my energy. Let's connect. And so that's what I would say in terms of those 2 angles when it comes to a sales position. Let your work sell you. And also you need to talk yourself up and connect with people and just sell yourself, your energy, your vibe. And, so long as you are a good person, that will come through. And
that's not an authentic selling yourself because a lot of people try and sell themselves and they just become annoying. But the thing I always say to actors when you talked about that nuance between who gets the job, I speak to actors that say, well, I am the best person for this. And I said, there's not only one best person for it. That's the problem, right? So when you're at a certain level in your craft, so is someone else and so is someone else.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be something outside of your control that tips that. So it may as well be a relationship. It may as well be knowing them. It may as well be the way you handle yourself in the press or how you come across in a podcast, even doing things like this.
Yeah.
People out there get a sense of an energy from somebody and they know they want to work with them. That person is professional and they're, educated and they understand the industry. That's going to be an asset on set.
100%.
For sure.
That's everything really,
Yeah.
It's like, as the phrase, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you can get an understanding of why someone does something, why they are the way they are, why they decided to start acting, and that all comes through, people buy into that. And that's what you're selling. But that has to be authentic. Because that's what you're saying. It can be annoying when people are trying to sell themselves in the wrong ways. Just let you be the talking and work on yourself to the point where who you are naturally just exudes something that people want to connect with and want to work with.
Yeah. It's amazing, really, the connection thing. So I know, Rich, you'll probably be very interested in what I'm going to ask Joivan now as well, because we struggle with this as entrepreneurs and actors, and no, I'm nowhere near the success level of you. I know there's going to be people out there right now inspired by what you're doing and be like, how the hell does he have time? So talk to us about that.
How do you have time?
How do you have time?
Entrepreneur, producer, actor,
creator,
workout.
He also has other businesses we've not even talked about yet.
Networking, 10-10. Oh my God.
10,
how
10,
do you
10 plus one.
sleep?
No, so I know we've talked about this before. Tell us about how you structure your day and your week to maximize this, because it feels overwhelming. Most people wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah. So how I structure my time is something called the 80-20 principle. I live by it. It's a book that you can get it online.
Pareto principle, it's called, isn't it?
Yeah. You can grab it on Amazon or whatever other bookstore. But that is essentially what I use in order to construct my time, especially as an entrepreneur when you're doing several things. So the concept is basically that if you look at whether it be a company like a retail store, or whether it be a distribution network like a Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus, you're in a space where 80% of their revenue, 80% of their success comes from 20% of that stock. So whether it be the 5 hit shows on Netflix that generate the millions of views, or whether it be that one hoodie and t-shirt and pair of trousers that people love that gets sold in that retail store that brings in 80% of their revenue. And that same thing happens and can be used for your time. So taking 80% of your time at the start on any one given project and putting your all into it. Once you get to a point where, let's say, for example, the Wall of Entertainment, you can then build that business, build that company with all of your time or most of your time, and that 80% gets applied. And then once you then build it to a certain point, you can then bring in a team. Once you then have that team that you can bring in, you then just manage that team. So then you have that 20% of your time, which is focused on managing the team that are implementing the strategies, the things and the opportunities that you want to do. And so that's why I just put it to right now, my team, I have a phenomenal team. Especially with my Wall of Entertainment company, I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I'm doing today without that. And then you've got, okay, so that's one company. That's 100% of my time now, where I've used the 80% to really focus, and then I got it to a certain point, and then now 20% to manage it. Now I move on to the next thing, and it might be a season where I'm starting Plus One Network. And off the back of that, 80% of my time, build out a team, and then 20% of the time to be able to then manage it. It might be a role that you're doing. Any role that I'm doing at that point, I have to put 100% of my time in just to make sure that it's, I'm delivering great work. And because you have all of the other structures and the things around of the teams that you've built, that then allows you to be able to put 100% of your time in to that role, because you've got teams that are building out and, doing the work that is needed for the companies or the business that are being built. So I really just focus on putting all of my time into one said thing until it gets to a certain place that I deem as successful or a level of success. And then because I'm, entrepreneur spirit, I love creating new businesses, new things. And then, I'll create a new company and I'll put all of my time in there, build a team. But I'm always building things with a vision of being able to not be hands-on within it. So I can't build anything where it's always going to require me. Otherwise, it can never scale. And so the only thing that I will allow to always require me is my creative side, is my acting, is my writing, and producing what I'm producing. So I think that is the scale of how I manage my time and using the ability to create something and then build a team around it that can help the operation of that before you move on to anything else. And if it's not in that operational space, then I don't advise you moving on to anything else or building anything else until it is. Yeah.
If I'm honest, this is a conversation myself and Darren have had about WeAudition and other stuff as well. Yeah, it is. And
yeah, I mean, and personally, we're one of the things I learned from you is about delegation, because delegation scares me. It does.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch back on that point of after that crushing incident where you were cheated by your own employee, how do you stay positive and do it again? I mean, that takes some.
That can't feel good.
Exactly. I mean, after going through a negative experience like that, you must have that moment where you're like, this sucks, but not only does this suck, having employees sucks.
Yeah, but having employees doesn't suck. Having employees is great. Having bad employees suck. And that's the difference. And it's saying, okay, well, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's always the mentality, because you have two choices. You either stop or you continue. And for me, stopping is not an option. So then it's looking at it as a learning curve. And what do I need to do differently to not put myself in that position? Okay, well, I need to have people that I can and do trust in certain positions of power. And okay, even with that, you're not going to be able, that's why you're paying these people. But as a result of that, creating really, strict consequences for things that they would do, that they know that at that time, he didn't have any real big consequences other than him losing his job, and he was willing to do that at the time. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to be crafty and do something, I have to look at it and say, oh, am I going to just lose my job, which I'm willing to do? Or is there enough of a consequence that I'm actually not going to be willing to do that? On top of that, having people that would manage those people. You have your core team. I have within my team, people that have been working with me now for years, the best part of, 15 years. And I trust them. Those people in my life. And so it's like, okay, having those people in place, managing those other people. So until you get to the point where you can build trust, because that's all you can do, it's a time thing. You put paperwork in place and things that you can put in place to allow you to, in the time where you're building the trust, you still have an opportunity to have that reassurance that they're not going to do that. And you have to delegate, Darren. You have to, in order to do, you have to say, okay, because I had a struggle with that too. It's like, they're not going to do it as well as I think I can do it.
That's what we always come up against, especially with the personal brand business, which, both WeAudition is a very much personal brand, because our personal values are baked into the company, as yours is with Plus One or Wall of Comedy, right?
Yeah.
It's having, there's a juggle between being that personal figurehead. The entrepreneurs that I respect in this world are the Richard Bransons, it's the Tyler Perrys, it's the people that behind the brand, right?
Yeah.
And that's always a struggle, I think, is how Joivan the brand instills the values into these companies. But one of the things that you've told me in other conversations that I think is amazing is you're no stranger to hard work, right? You hustle as much as the rest of people, but also you are really good at delaying gratification and reinvesting.
Yeah.
You told me once that you will not take money in order to put it into the building.
Yeah.
Until it does. And a lot of actors, and I want to sort of flip this back to an actor's career, a lot of actors aren't really good at that. They know they need the new headshots, and they know you meet those actors go, I'm not doing well because this, because that, because I need new headshots, because something else. And they will justify it with, I have no money or I have no time. And then you see them in the bar getting, rounds of cocktails, and you do have the money.
Yeah.
What do you say to that person?
I say they're not serious. Really? Yeah, because you don't have your priorities in order. I think that in order for you to be in a position where you know that your primary asset is to be the best actor you can be and put yourself in that position, there's things that you need to do. Reinvesting in yourself is the most important thing, and reinvesting in your craft and creating what it is that you want to create is needed. And so if you go into the bar, you're spending money and you're saying you don't have money, you do have the money. You just don't have the money to spend on the things that you need to spend it on, and you're spending it on what you want to spend it on, which means that you don't really want to be at the top of your craft, because otherwise your actions would outlay that. And if your actions are not outlaying that, then that's not the case. First and foremost, I'm spending my money on everything that puts me in a position to be the greatest asset that I can be as an actor, because I always look at myself and say, well, if I haven't created the best opportunity for me to be seen, then I can't complain. I can't put myself in a position where I have anything to say about it, because I haven't done everything that I need to do in my power. And so I've got this niggle in me also that is like, oh, if I haven't done everything in my power, then it could be down to me why I haven't got that audition, or why I haven't booked that role, or not being seen. And you can't complain at anything if you've got stuff that you got to sort out yourself. Until then, I would say to you all, stop complaining about what it is that you haven't done for yourself. You have to put yourself in a place where you're like, okay, I've done everything in my power to put me in the best possible position. And now that I'm in the best possible position, now let whatever it is that you believe, I believe in God. So I say to myself, and now I'll let God do, God's work and let things happen. But until you've done everything in your power, then it's not going to happen for you.
But you're not really someone just let stuff happen to you. Like, I mean, even though you're spiritual and you believe that, it's very clear the building blocks you're putting in place and everything you've
100%. I think that in regards to when I say like let the things happen, I mean like once you've created what it is that you need to create as whatever it is that you're trying to do, you don't have to put in that work. You got to consistently build, and that work is what brings what they call good luck, or it's not good luck, it's just good work. It's just hard work. It's you're creating your own luck with the work that you're putting in.
Right. There's someone that's famous that says a quote that's the harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's it. That's right. That's right. Because that work, it creates the quote unquote luck, So that's doing and I think that it attributes to when I'm talking about getting the headshots done, making sure that your reel is up to scratch, making sure that once you've done all that stuff, then there's still more that you can do. Then I'm saying, okay, well, there's a bunch of events going on and there's people that I could be meeting. Am I at those events? Am I pushing myself to be there instead of being at home and playing the game? Okay, then I'm still not doing everything I need to do that's in my power. You can never stop. And if you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm in a place where I feel like I've done everything in my power, then you're probably where you want to be in your career.
Talk to us about events, right? Because both of us run events. We believe in events and bringing people together. We were just both at a lot of Emmys events this weekend. Yeah. For someone that hasn't experienced that, what are they like? Are they worth it? How do you get into them? And then what comes from those events? Like, talk us through an experience that's been either positive or how you navigate those.
Yeah. I think events are tremendous. So much so that I put on as many events as I can. I like bringing people together. And the reason why is because I see great value in people connecting, whether it be me helping people to connect with Plus One Network or me wanting people to connect with me or connecting with people. So like, let's take Emmy weekend and these events that take place. First and foremost, it all starts with the craft and building. There's certain rooms that, we just can't get into until we've developed ourselves. And there's rooms that I can't get into now and that I aspire to get into and that I will get into one day. And then there's rooms that I used to want to get into that now I get into.
We were talking about that hierarchy the weekend, right? It's so interesting how you're a level beneath or above and you're like the juggling that goes on.
Exactly. And that comes with, you just know that, okay, one day when I'm in those rooms, it's going to be because what I've done from a craft perspective is warranted, and that there is that direct energy exchange that then allows me to say, or allows them to say, okay, he can be in this room now. And that's going to be from the work. And then there's, when I'm starting out and there's rooms that I can get into, it's just down to me, connecting with people or finding out about them, going online, seeing what's out there. And one of the biggest things when it comes to, there's even rooms that you might feel like you can't be in yet, or you shouldn't be in yet, or for me that I should be in, but they're not going to let me in yet. And I still get into some of those rooms because of my networking, because I'm connected to
me too.
Darren. And I'm like, oh yeah, Darren knows this person. And as a result, he's going to connect me with this person because we have a great relationship. And there's people that you want to build relationships with, because if people like you, then they're going to connect you with the people that you need to be connected with. So it's all around this kind of connection ethos. And I would say that it is worth it. These events that you go to, they're a great time, especially if you can, get something out of them. I think when it comes to if those, events are worth it, yes, because one, you get an opportunity to be seen. And the more people see you is the more that they remember you. Out of sight, out of mind. I think two, you get an opportunity to connect and network with people. Sometimes I'm just fanboying. I'm just like seeing like some of my, my idols or creators or people I want to work with. And just from being a good guy, you go up to them and you connect with them and you just shower them with the love, the genuine love that you have for them and their work. And if they're nice, then they're going to be like, thank you, and how you make people they don't remember what you do. They remember how you make them feel. And so if you can connect with someone,
it's my Angelou quote, isn't it?
Yeah. And you can make them feel a way in which is uplifting or is positive, then they're going to remember that. So the next time they see you, they're going to be like, oh, I remember when I met Darren. And that association is going to be with how Darren made me feel. And now, because of how Darren made me feel, I've got a lot of time for Darren. I'm just going to be someone who just wants to help. Darren's got something he needs. Hey, I want to get into this event. Do you know anyone? Darren, you're a great guy. I'm going to connect you with someone and try and get you in. Or I've got this role. Oh, I remember that guy I met at the event. He would be great for this role because his essence was who this character is, you know? So yeah, like connecting with those people. And then I think it's just really important for us all as creators to try and just be in the rooms that we need to be in order to learn and connect with the industry and know what's actually happening, you know, and a lot of that takes place. You know, what's
Darren is
happening.
very good at that. You are actually very good at that. That's probably your superpower.
That is a superpower.
I'd say
100%. You have a superpower in connecting with people.
I got a superhero, but I got the superpower.
You got a superpower.
No, you know what's interesting though, when you said that about, you know, I think you spoke about sharing events and getting into other stuff and then remembering people. I think one of the most important things is remembering the people that remembered you. And people don't do that enough.
They don't.
I'll give an example. If you get a premiere invite or you get a party invite or whatever, most people, they're sitting there thinking, who should I take that's going to be helpful to me or whatever. And they don't give the invite back to the person that just hooked them up last week. And then actually when you form those alliances at your level, because everyone's always trying to get a step above, you know?
Yeah, network on your level.
You do it on your level. And then what happens is like what we had at the weekend where there was like probably 15 of us bouncing around that BAFTA event that are very, very tight friends.
Yeah.
And we're able to be like, whoa, have you met this person? Or can you get, you know, and we reconnecting with other people.
Yeah.
And just spreading your network laterally.
Yeah.
Instead of trying.
And that's your room that everyone else wants to get in. Your room, you're talking about going up or down.
Yeah.
That becomes your peers in a room that is elevating on its own, isn't it?
100%.
People want to be involved in your little circle.
Yeah.
Right? They're looking over, they're going, why are these guys having so much fun?
Exactly.
But for anyone who doesn't understand, how do you get these invites? Does it come through an agent or publicist, or do you have to reach out yourself?
Yeah, I think different ways. So you can have invites in which can come directly to you at a certain stage. I think you can have invites where you got to reach out to people and find out what events are happening.
Yeah.
You know, doing the digging and the research. Who's putting on this event? Who's the organizers? Who's the person I can connect with to get in? Also having a publicist. If you have a publicist, then they can get you into these events based on their relationships. It's all relationship based. So that's really kind of like the three major ways that I'd see as to how you get into these events.
I have another one as well that people overlook. A lot of events often have a charity element. They'll have a committee. You think about a lot of the fancy awards events and stuff, a lot of them are non-profits.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is to reach out and be part of it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Gold House or Cape USA.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ones that are especially for specific areas of talent, and they have non-profit boards.
Yeah.
Be involved, be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
100%.
Donate if you can.
Everyday action and stuff.
Everyday action. Yeah, exactly.
I think like one misconception that people don't see or understand is that the more people you help, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier, the more people that you help is the more you help yourself. This ideology of that I need to put myself first, there's a universal language of helping others. And the more you help others is the more you help yourself. And I'll go 1 degree deeper than that, is that no one on this earth would be able to do what they do if there was no one else here. So for me to act and be a success as an actor, I need a team, I need a crew, I need an audience.
You need an audience.
There we go. For me to do anything that I do, whether it is, you know, from if you're taking out the trash and there's, you know, trash on the ground, there's people that have put that littered, that everything that you do from whatever scale to whatever scale, you need people. So that's just a principle that we can see and know that anything that we do, if we help others, we will always help ourselves and it will always come back full circle. And so we should always look at it and say, how can we help others? And the biggest entrepreneurs or the biggest things that get built, the only way that you have a business is by serving, is by having others. If I go through from WeAudition, you guys are helping actors, you're helping creatives who need access to others who can help them with their career. If I look at all of entertainment, I'm helping creators. I'm also helping audiences to get access. Plus one, I'm helping entrepreneurs and entertainers and investors investors find what they're trying to find. If you've got a property company, you're helping people find a home. There's nothing that exists in this world that will be successful that is not anchored around helping others.
So service, right?
Yeah. So we always look to be in service.
Some amazing insights you're giving us here.
Thank you, bro.
Anything you want to add, Rich, before we close this out?
Spoken word poetry. I just want to touch on that. I was on your Instagram and I love it. Just tell me why you started to do that. And is that stuff you write yourself or other people's stuff, or do you do it anymore?
Yeah.
Because I love it. It's brilliant.
Thanks, Rich. I think the spoken word is like a core passion and love for me. How that originated is like one day I was like, I find it difficult as an actor, as just an actor, not a writer, just an actor, to have my own voice. As an actor, you're always displaying someone else's voice, which is whatever's written on the page. Rappers get to do it because they sing, they rap their songs. Singers get to do it because they sing their songs. But as an actor, we don't actually get to say what we want to say unless we then are additionally a writer and write the thing that we're going to act in. And I feel like I had so much in me that I wanted to get out, and spoken word was my form or my remit of how I was going to get what I have inside of me as an artist out without it being in the form or the medium of script writing. So that's how I kind of, found the love for it. And I think that just words, from a language perspective, is something that I feel like I've been given somewhat a talent in, and I like to, just dabble in it. It makes me feel good. I get to say what I want to say. And yes, everything that you see from a spoken word perspective are things that I've written myself, or I collaborated with vast people, and David Bianchi, a good friend of ours, and collaborated with David on some pieces. And outside of that, there's things that I've done myself. And right now I'm focused on a few other things, but spoken word will definitely be something that I go full throttle in at a time. I still want to do a whole spoken word album or project that allows me just to get everything out from a spoken word perspective.
We're just going to drop a beat over that whole last section and release it.
I love it.
NFT.
It's going to be in the spirit of the conversation. It's going to be an NFT. We're going to repurpose it for Instagram. We're going to TikTok it.
There we go. I should have done it in spoken word, shouldn't I?
Well, listen,
I like it, and I like the fact that you've done it. And with everything, it's the entrepreneurial spirit, isn't it? That's really coming through. That you can produce your own stuff, be your own producer, your own director, and the sort of master of your own
universe,
whatever.
Yeah.
Master of the universe.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
100%.
Superhero.
Joivan, I could talk to you for hours and hours. This podcast could be 3 hours long because there's so many lessons to learn here, both just in life, in business, in acting, in all of it. But we've got to wrap this one up.
30 something.
I want to know, what would you like your legacy to be? We've seen all the incredible stuff you've done. Go 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. What do you want people to remember you for?
I want to be remembered as one of the best actors of my generation, first and foremost. One of the best and most prolific storytellers of my generation. A good person, someone who helps people, someone who makes people feel great and inspires the greatness that maybe even they don't see within themselves to come out of them. And I also want to leave this place having created my own platform at a grand scale, OTT, over the top network, streaming network, whatever you want to call it, which has the ability to take stories from the unrepresented and have a voice and have an opportunity for them to create their work at the highest level, and also have audiences find the work in which they can connect with that speaks to them at their highest level. And if I can do those elements of what makes me feel happy and what makes me feel like I am who I am, then I will leave this place a happy man.
Well, thank you for making us happy today. It's an absolute pleasure. And you can see all of Joivan's links in the show notes after this episode. So make sure you go follow him and see all the amazing stuff he's doing. Thank you for that.
And thanks for watching, guys. Much love. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the WeAudition Show. Your hosts were Darren Darnborough and me, Richard Cambridge, from WeAudition, the leading professional actors community where you can connect, learn, elevate your career, and always get a self-tape reader on demand. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a WeAudition member, or even if you're not, we would love it if you could please subscribe to this podcast, as it really helps us. And if you have friends who might get value from this episode, please share the link with them. You can find us at weaudition.com or for your iPhone or iPad by searching WeAudition on the App Store. See you next time.